Let's bring in today's panel. Adam Lashinsky is Fortune Executive Editor. He's also a Fox Business contributor. Doug Flynn is from Flynn Zito Capital Management. Doug, let me start with you. What's important about today in my mind as we look at the pattern of trading on the screen is that as we got negative headlines during the day about more deaths and more cases, we did not see the market then dip down into negative territory. Did you notice that? You think that's a big deal?
Yeah. I think that's a keen observation. You know, there's an old Wall Street saying that says the stock market takes an escalator up and an elevator down. But today we took an elevator back up, which is very, very rare. So I did see that. It shrugged that off. And a lot of this has to do with the fact that the average drop during crises such as this in the past is 13%. And that's essentially what we hit last week. So it doesn't surprise me. I was really interested to see if we were going to go further down from there. But this is a nice pop to the upside.
Adam, another thing that made me think that it might be over last Friday was that there was a lot of selling in gold. And you don't see selling in the precious metals at the same time that you see selling in the market in general. It's from one to the other. Some people are afraid, well, maybe that's people just trying to cash out because they're trying to cover, losses in positions, which would have been really bleak. But it also could have been people being like, okay, this may be as high as gold's going to go on this one. What are your thoughts?
Well, I certainly have no opinion on a commodity like gold because I grew up believing that no one does. But I think the activity that we saw last week and the activity that we saw today can be summarized by saying that the uncertainty continues to reign. People had no idea how bad the situation was going to be when they were selling last week. And I think the only firm conviction they came to, and I came to the same one myself with my financial advisor over the weekend, was that this was a buying opportunity. But I don't think it's any more sophisticated than that. Nobody knows where this is going still.
Yeah. Did you really call your financial advisor and ask him for advice over the weekend, Adam? You're such a smart guy. You don't need advice from anyone.
No, it's better than that because he loves to remind me how I'm the only guy who doesn't call him, and I didn't call, but he did call me to say, I think we should be buying. I said, fine, do what you want, leave me alone.
No, you're so right. I mean, that's what I was thinking before as well, is that, a lot of people were sad that they missed the run up in Apple the first time around, and when you see a big pullback, you say to yourself, that's my opportunity, but it takes another thing to have the courage to act on it. Stand by, you guys. We're going to come back to you in a second. Let me send it over to Connell.
It's interesting. The perspective, Melissa, I would kind of add from being out on the road here in North Carolina, obviously people are going to look at the market and how it snaps back today, and that is a huge one-day snapback. But from just talking to people out of the street, you also do start to get the idea of how this virus could have an impact on, and probably will have an impact on business. Just by the way, it's something people are already thinking, and they are still talking a lot about. Here's a quick listen.
I have young children. I'm worried about them being out of school. How my wife and I, who both work, are we're both professionals. How we're going to, if school's closed for a month, like I just heard in Japan, their schools are closed for a month. How are we going to deal with that?
I'm 73. The critical thing is your personal level of health. I've got gloves. I've got the sanitizers.
So it is getting a little bit more personal, guys, I guess. And I know, Doug, from speaking to you about this earlier, that you've had a personal experience. Maybe you could tell us about your son, I guess, trying to study abroad, right?
Yes, he was abroad in Florence for the spring semester, and he was actually on spring break, and so was out of Italy for a bit. And when we got the word, and we didn't know what was happening as this was all breaking, and he was due to fly back to Florence yesterday, and then they said they were canceling the program. And so then he's like, you know what, I'll go to either Vienna or London, stay with a friend, try to continue on. So we made another flight, and then they raised Italy to a level 4, and they were saying, don't come here because you might not get out. So then yesterday, he's like, I think I'm coming home. So we had 3 different flights booked yesterday, and part of my day yesterday was spent unraveling the myriad of flights and trying to navigate through this. But we got him home yesterday, and he's basically converted now to online classes from his house, which he's not terribly happy about, actually.
I'm sure he's not that. It's interesting, Adam, because that kind of decision-making process, whatever happens in markets, whether they bottom out or they snap back or whatever happens day to day, will impact businesses, I mean, I was talking to people here, for example, we're pretty close to Duke University. You had people coming in to do research, and then they cancel their reservation last minute. And I'm sure out where you are in Silicon Valley, there's a lot of that happening.
Oh yeah, and I was listening to Doug speak, and I was thinking this is a perfect little case study in uneconomic activity, if you will. He's chewing up a good deal of his day off on Sunday, doing something that fundamentally is not going to contribute to the economy. And I think Doug's example of his Sunday is a perfect small example multiplied by the millions. And yes, I mean, all for the past 24 hours, all I've been hearing about are people canceling meetings and canceling trips. My own calendar is getting very light.
It's interesting. So the economic impact will be there. The market does day to day. We'll see. We'll take the 1,300 points or thereabouts today. Adam and Doug, thanks to both of you.